This is a bit of an ongoing concept on the channel. It all started with if Naruto were reborn. That one was so well received that someone asked us to do Sasuke as well. And the more I stewed on it, the more I realized that we shouldn't limit ourselves to just one or two more characters. I started getting concepts for if Obito were reborn with all of his memories and powers. Kakashi, Obito, Itachi, we have so many possible stories we can tell from just this concept. It's like a whole other world has been opened up to me. So feel free to give us more ideas, but for now, let's try a new concept. Let's imagine a world where all of Team 7 was reborn with all of their memories and powers. Because of how this is going to work though, I do need to set a few ground rules for it, and that being, since Kakashi will also be involved, I want to leave some room open to make a story for him down the line. We're just gonna have all of Team 7 come to consciousness at the same time, that being just before they join Team 7. Now with that all sorted out, let's continue, shall we? Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed, and with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Naruto woke up one morning. The sun was shining, birds were chirping. It was a perfect day in Konoha. Naruto could hardly enjoy it because he'd been working so hard. Honestly, Naruto had always wanted to become Hokage, but perhaps he underestimated how much work it would be. He began to understand why Tsunade and Kakashi refused to pass the title down to him until after he had spent some time as an instructor in the academy. He had to work on his discipline because they knew he would need it. That being said, Naruto had always been the type to run toward a challenge. Sure, maybe he'd complain about it, but when there was no other way, he ran headlong into it to give his maximum. And he supposed that maybe he had not gotten out of that mind frame, even after becoming Hokage, because now he was working too hard. He barely had enough time for his family these days. His daughter missed him, his son resented him, and his wife was working almost as hard as he to keep their household together. Despite how horribly tuckered out he was, he turned over, ready to start the day. Today was the day he had agreed with Shikamaru would be the official start of a vacation. More like a staycation. He was going to remain home all day for the whole week to work on his family bonds, to help celebrate his son's birthday, and to make up for missing his daughters. That whole shadow clone fiasco, he would never live it down. But today was the day he was going to do it. But he needed Hinata once again. She was the glue at this moment. And though Naruto could take a vacation whenever he wanted, she couldn't. He admired that about her. At times, it seemed like she was the most important person in the village compared to himself. While his policies may have determined laws, regulations, relief funds, and peace treaties, it was Hinata who kept Naruto on the straight and narrow, and in times of national crisis, she was the entire village's mother. Not too far from what Biwako had been in the past, Kushina or Mito as well. She was everything to him. She was everything to the village. Sometimes Naruto didn't get a chance to think about that, but he was thinking about it right now. Today. The reason being that he had finally opened his eyes and she wasn't there. The first thoughts in his head were questions as to why she wasn't there. Where was she? Then he realized when looking at himself that he was in a younger form. A form in which he had never been married, hadn't even become a genin. It was the oddest feeling in the world that came over Naruto. It wasn't confusion, it wasn't worry, it was confirmation. It was a massive I told you so on a cosmic scale. He had taken his time for granted, his family for granted, and now it was gone. He didn't know where he was. Perhaps it was the intuition of a father, but he just sorta knew that Himawari and Boruto no longer existed. It had been a long time since Naruto had cried. The entire village was happy, smiling and enjoying their day, and Naruto, well, he was enraged. As he cried, he heard a voice within him. "Naruto, what's wrong? You're upset." "Kurama," he asked. "You still remember us?" Kurama was confused by this. "Yeah? Why wouldn't I?" Naruto began to think about it. It wasn't just that Naruto had traveled back for this. His body had been pulled back in time, but his spirit was working on a higher dimension, it seemed. Either that, or while his body was returned to the past, his soul was not. A smile formed on his face for a second, knowing that he wasn't alone. But that was until his heart shattered again, remembering everything. "Kurama, they're gone." "Who's gone?" Kurama asked. "They are. Hinata, Himawari, Boruto, they're all gone." Kurama tapped into Naruto's senses to look around and questioned himself if this were a genjutsu. "No, if it were genjutsu, it would be hard to cast on us. We're separate and we could release each other." Kurama continued to look around before investigating Naruto as a whole. "You weren't always this small, were you?" Naruto looked down. "I think this is my childhood body." Kurama continued to look around. There's only 4 faces on the Hokage rock. Is this some kind of time travel? Your guess is as good as mine, Naruto said. As Kurama sat there, he thought about everything. It seems I traveled back in time as well. Don't forget, I existed at this time too. If you had simply rewound time, I would have just still been hateful. This means I traveled with you, Kurama said. Naruto thought about it. It was as if they had reached the same conclusion at the same time. Do you think others traveled back with us? Kurama thought about it. I can't be sure, but the best way to find out is to probe. The place for us to go is the academy. If it's true, then others will have surely met there. Earlier that day, Sasuke awakened in his bed too, but the moment he did, he knew something wasn't right. The phantom pains he was so used to were now gone and replaced with the feeling of a left arm moving and contracting its muscles without pain. It was something Sasuke had grown accustomed to, not having a left arm. So much so that he had to relearn some of his past skills, including writing. Sasuke was right-handed now because he didn't really have a choice, and now that his left hand was back, he didn't really intend for this to change. He had just grown accustomed to utilizing only his right hand, so having a left again was strange. He moved it around just fine, but all in all it was awkward. And the appearance of his Rinnegan in his left eye told him that he hadn't really lost anything that he had before. As he thought about this and the meaning behind it, he would suddenly get a telephone call. Sasuke would walk to the phone and answer. Sasuke? Came the voice of a dainty girl. Sakura, he asked. Yeah, it's me. I just wanted to ask you, has anything strange happened to you this morning? Anything at all? Sasuke looked down. You mean the sudden reappearance of my left arm? And the fact that the numbers on my clothes tags are many times smaller than they had been before? Sakura could be heard letting out an audible sigh. So I'm not going crazy, she said. What's going on? Sasuke asked. I don't know, Sakura said, but it's strange because my calendar's year is set 20 years before what it should be. Sasuke looked at himself in the mirror as she spoke. She continued to talk. What do you suppose it means? I don't know, Sasuke said. There was silence on the other side for a moment. Quick and concise as always. I'm glad at least one thing didn't change. We need to meet up. Do you suppose that we're the only ones this happened to? Sasuke shrugged. Only one way to find out. Sasuke would get together his regular day clothes and head out to the academy. As it turned out, this was the last time for all of them. This was their graduation exam. Getting to the school, Sasuke covered his Rinnegan in an effort to hide that he had it. Until he could figure out what was going on here, it was safest to remain cautious. There he saw Sakura sitting. She looked over at him for a second, cracked a forced smile, and then returned her gaze outward. As Sasuke walked around, he tried to signal any other possible students by asking Sakura a rather loud question when he sat down. I forget, was the last Shinobi World War the 3rd or the 4th? Sakura looked over at him. I think you and I both know that answer. They sat and looked around cautiously to see if anyone else had caught onto the statement. It didn't seem to be the case. It seemed to have flown over everyone's heads, which meant that they were the only ones in this room who had any memories from the past. Or, I suppose, the future. I guess it was localized to only you and I, Sasuke said. Sakura nodded. What do you think happened? Sasuke shrugged. No clue. Possibly a jutsu? Possibly something else. I don't see the advantage of sending us back in time like this unless it's to destroy us, but even then, we still have all of our abilities. He reached out and tapped the strength of 100 seal on Sakura's forehead. Sakura laughed. I forgot how big my forehead used to feel at this age, and now with this seal on it, it just stands out all the more. Sasuke couldn't help but smile. Don't be like that. I find it kinda cute. He gave her a kiss. Some of the other girls in the class, Ino included, were shocked by this. An audible gasp could be heard from every female in the room. Sasuke and Sakura looked around. I was really popular, wasn't I? He said. Sakura giggled. You don't know the half of it. At about that time, Naruto walked into the room. He looked around the class, seemed not so much his chipper self. That wasn't too uncommon for Naruto back in the old days, as Sasuke recalled. Naruto's eyes scanned the area. Seeing Sasuke and Sakura, he began to walk toward their desk and sit down with them. Silence ensued for a little longer. Sasuke then spoke. How are you doing, Naruto? Still looking to become 5th Hokage, he asked. Hokage? Yes. 5th? No. I'm thinking I'll only be ready when position for 7th arrives. So you are you too, Sasuke said. Naruto let out a sigh. I was beginning to think Kurama and I were here alone. Sakura shook her head. No, all 3 of us seem to recall everything. I kinda figured it out when I saw that mark on your forehead, Naruto said. You noticed it from that far away? Sakura asked. How could I not? People would pay to advertise on that billboard you got there. Hey, Sakura said as she reached around Sasuke and punched Naruto on the shoulder. Naruto giggled a bit about it when she did, coaxing a smile. So, anyone else time travelers here? Naruto asked Sasuke. Sasuke shook his head. No, I made a passing remark about the Fourth Great Ninja War and nobody seemed to react, so I assume we're alone. Naruto looked around. What happened? And why? Sasuke shrugged. No clue. Could be a natural phenomenon, could be a jutsu placed by someone. Elsewhere in a distant laboratory, Fu sneezed. Sasuke let out a frustrated sigh. If this is a trap, then I see nothing for us to do but walk into it. We may be smaller, but it doesn't seem like we've lost any real power. So if they're waiting for us somewhere down the line, we'll be ready. But what if they simply want us out of the way so they can conquer our future, Naruto asks. I don't know if time works like that, Sakura said. Even if that is true, Sasuke tagged on, we've got powerful friends in the future who can handle the situation without us. Boruto and Sarada both have incredible strength and potential, and if they take their training seriously, they'll surpass everything we ever were. It was then that the feeling between the three became a little heavier. Boruto, Naruto said as his head hit the table. Sarada, Sakura whispered as she looked like she might start crying. Sasuke himself was sad, but he couldn't let it get him down. Regardless, we'll have to see this through to the end if nothing changes. So long as we stick together, everything will be fine. With plenty on their mind, they go through with the exams. As Naruto comes up and is asked to make a clone, he makes about 12 shadow clones. He then notices that one of the proctors is Mizuki. In anger, one of his clones rushes over and beats the man silly. Iruka pulls the clone off of him as the guards stand, ready to arrest Naruto. What's wrong with you? Iruka demands to know. That man right there tried to coerce me into stealing the Scroll of Seals. Orochimaru wanted it, and he was going to defect and give it to him, and worse yet, he was going to use me to steal it and then pin the blame on me. Iruka and the guards look at Mizuki, who declares this preposterous. Naruto refutes this. I remember it. You got evidence tying you to Orochimaru in your apartment. Thought you could get away with stealing from the village and betraying it. I ought to beat you again. Sasuke is seen shaking his head at this point and covering his face as Sakura watches on. Well, this is pretty much what happened, right? Sasuke said. I was kinda hoping we would lay low, but I guess not. Needless to say, Naruto's words were true. Mizuki's apartment was investigated and everything Naruto said was substantiated, resulting in Mizuki being arrested. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke would all pass. After becoming genin, the day after they'd have their pictures taken and were officially registered. There, Naruto would witness Konohamaru attempt to assassinate his own grandfather in the most pathetic way possible. Naruto laughed, much to Konohamaru's chagrin. Naruto knew he would appreciate it, but what could he do? He forgot how absolutely adorable Konohamaru used to be. For old time's sake, he taught Konohamaru the sexy jutsu. He couldn't even imagine a world where he and Konohamaru wouldn't grow to be friends, so he began teaching the boy the most perverted of all his Tosaku jutsu. The adult in him thought it was a bad idea, but at the same time he knew that it was from this strange base that Konohamaru had grown into the dependable man he was before. Sometimes it was just a necessary evil to let a boy be a boy. After all, it was a boy that became a man, and the man Naruto knew he'd become would be well-balanced, a bit odd, and capable of thinking outside of the box, which was something Naruto knew Konohamaru would not be able to learn from Ebisu. As Naruto seemed to more easily slide back into his childhood, Sasuke and Sakura couldn't help but be who they had been prior. Sakura had been verbally assaulted by the other girls in her class, putting her down and questioning Sasuke's tastes in women if he chose her. Normally, if Sakura had really been the person she used to be, she would have flipped out about it. But here she couldn't help but laugh at how childish the other girls really were at this time. Let them make fun of her forehead. In the years Sakura had it, she had came to love it. And since Sasuke seemed to love it, she wouldn't trade it for any forehead in the whole world. Sasuke was still using his right hand to write and do, well, anything. Even when he ate, he was still using his right hand. He let his left hand dangle most days. You're still not used to using your left arm again, she asked. Sasuke didn't notice that he'd been neglecting it. He simply couldn't easily adapt to this body. Naruto seemed to have done so very easily, but then again, he always had a synthetic arm after he lost the original, so for Naruto, this wasn't a very big step. For Sasuke, it was. In a way, this is a blessing. We get the chance to do everything over again. We could change whatever we want. That may be so, Sasuke said, but that doesn't mean we should. Why not? Sakura asked. Because we don't know the consequences of doing so. A butterfly effect does exist, and our existing in this world alone is enough to alter time in all sorts of different ways, Sakura said. Sasuke nodded. Yes, that's true, but we still have a responsibility to limit the damage we do. We don't know how our actions can change the world. It could be positive though, Sakura said. Or it could be negative. Sakura took his hand in both of hers to reassure him. Or it could be positive. Sasuke shook his head as if casting the idea aside. Imagine how many wars we could cause by changing things. If the Fourth Shinobi World War doesn't occur, then neither will world peace. You don't know that, Sakura said. The entire world came together to stop the moon from falling. And imagine how many children will wake up in a happy household instead of an orphanage because their parents never had to go to war. Imagine how many new lives will be born because star-crossed lovers never perished prematurely before meeting their one and only. Sasuke thought about what she was saying. She continued, Sasuke, this could be a gift, a chance to make the world better, to undo our mistakes and forge a better path forward. Kneeling down, she wiped some of the rice from the corner of Sasuke's mouth. In the years he had known her, his feelings for her had only become stronger. As their lips touched, it was as if the stars aligned. It was a perfect moment. Ew, a young voice shouted, killing the moment. From a nearby bush, Naruto was struggling to cover Konohamaru's mouth. Sasuke and Sakura looked over at them. I promise we weren't spying, we were just... Naruto struggled to come up with an excuse. Okay, we were spying. Konohamaru managed to rip Naruto's hand from his face. Sasuke and Sakura sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I... Naruto covered his mouth again. I think we'll give you guys some privacy. Too late, Naruto. Moment's gone, Sasuke said as he sat there and contemplated if he should try to retrain his mind to favor his left hand again. Might be a challenge, might take some time, but considering his age and the events he already knew were coming, he had all the time in the world. The day after came, and they were sitting in a classroom at the academy, waiting for the Jonin to show up. It'll probably be Kakashi, Naruto said. I hope it's Kakashi, Sasuke said as he sat there. Wait, do you think there's a chance it won't be Kakashi, Sakura asked? Sasuke looked over. There's always a chance things won't be the same as they were before. That's what the butterfly effect does. Simply by us existing the way we are now and when we're not supposed to, we may affect fate in some weird upper dimensional way. Could lead to anyone. That being said, I still want Kakashi. And Kakashi you will have, another voice said as he entered the room. They looked over to see him. Kakashi-sensei, Naruto and Sakura shouted in happiness. Sasuke covered his face in shame. There was no such thing as subtlety with this group. That being said, as he looked through his fingers, Kakashi spoke. So, I'm glad I'm not the only one playing Quantum Leap. You knew? Sasuke asked. Kakashi nodded. I've been looking around the past couple days, trying to figure out if I was alone in this time warp. The moment I heard Naruto got Mizuki captured early, I realized that things had changed. I wasn't sure if it was just a butterfly effect or if it was that I wasn't alone. But the moment I saw you and Sakura kiss, I sort of assumed that the sweet lovebirds I knew from 20 years ahead were likely the same. I sort of just now received full confirmation, not only because I heard you guys talking about me before I entered the room, but because I saw that Rinnegan you're trying and failing to hide, mixed with that seal on Sakura's definitely normal-sized forehead. Naruto began to laugh. Even Kakashi thinks your forehead's ginormous. Wait, others can see my Rinnegan? Sasuke asked. Kakashi nodded. Your hair at this age wasn't properly suited to cover that thing, so it's not doing too well at the job. Just be glad that nobody in Konoha really knows what it is. They just think it's a strange birth defect in your Sharingan. They seem convinced that it's weaker than a normal one, so if you keep it on the DL, you might get away with it for a little while. At least until your hair grows out enough to cover it. Then everyone should forget. Sasuke sat back in his seat. So, Kakashi-sensei, what do you think we should do? What do you mean? Kakashi asked. Should we just go and blindly alter everything that we want? Or just stick to the script and ensure the future we had before is the one we get again? Kakashi let out a chuckle. Almost sounds like you want one over the other, Kakashi said. The way you phrased it, that is. Blindly change things or try to do the same thing we know worked. Sasuke then spoke. Yes, I do have a bias to one of those. Kakashi nodded. I'm sure you do, but I think we both know that for us to all stick to the script would be near impossible with a certain hyperactive knucklehead ninja over here. Naruto looked over. Yeah, Sakura would have a hard time sticking to the plan. Kakashi then continued. This isn't just one person's future we're discussing, Sasuke. And while you make a good point that the future we had was great, we are presented with a golden opportunity here. A chance to save lives we once thought were lost. A chance to undo some damage done. Are you going to tell me that if you had a chance to go back, you wouldn't have stopped yourself from attempting to destroy Konoha? Are you telling me that you have the grit and willpower to commit murder again without reason? Sasuke looked down. Kakashi then spoke. I think we can all agree that with the knowledge we have, we are meant to change things. I don't know how or by who we were given this chance to do things over again, but I believe the intent is for us to use it to our advantage. And how do we know that doing such a thing isn't going to help whatever force did this to us? If this is a person who sent us back here, how do we know that our benefactor isn't malevolent? How do you know he is? Kakashi asked. While it's true that we ought to be careful with how we move forward, I should state one thing. I possess the Mangekyo Sharingan again, which I didn't have when I was transported back. You possess the Rinnegan that you did have. Sakura possesses her seal, and I assume that includes all the knowledge with how to use it, and I assume Naruto possesses everything." Naruto nodded. "Kurama's still in me, and he's very cooperative. I even seem to have access to Six-Path Sage Mode." Kakashi nodded. "Whoever teleported us back to this time period wanted to make us as strong as possible. For all we know, changing the past could save the future. Our actions here could lead to a better tomorrow. So let's decide not to see the glass as half empty, just on a show of faith. After all, it's time that something good finally came our way, wouldn't you agree?" Naruto was all for the idea. Sakura had mostly been on board with it the whole time, but she sat there and deferred to Sasuke. "What do you think, Sasuke? We could do a lot. We might even be able to save your brother." Sasuke thought about it. "If you're sure that we're not going to doom ourselves." Kakashi shrugged. "Any actions we could have taken in the future could have doomed us. I say we take it in stride. If this does cause an issue at some point, we'll face it head on like any other crisis. It's better to have tried and failed than to have never tried at all." Sasuke let out a sigh. "All right, I'm game. What's the first thing we do?" Kakashi thought about it. "We should still stick to the script, as in the end that leads us to a proper ending that we like. But along the way, let's make a couple edits. Let's make some decisions ourselves based on what we want." And so that's what they decided to do. They decided that they would start off by requesting the Land of Waves mission. While this mission wasn't that impressive in terms of anything beyond character development for Naruto and Sasuke, both of which would display ample growth in their power, it did mark the deaths of Haku and Zabuza. This was when Team 7 would need to make the decision of if they were going to kill these two. As they walked to the village from which Tazuna hailed, they kept the conversation fairly quiet. They didn't want to freak Tazuna out or let slip that they were knowledgeable of the future. But that being said, Kakashi himself was far stronger now than he had been previously, meaning when the Demon Brothers and Zabuza both showed up, he floored them both. There was nothing really for him to do besides that. Of course, Haku would come and collect Zabuza and escape him, and Kakashi let them go. But as they got to the home where Tazuna lived, he called a quick meeting. "So, let's see. Should we let Zabuza and Haku live?" Kakashi asked. Sasuke was a resounding no, and Naruto was the exact opposite. Kakashi began to listen to both of their arguments. Sasuke's argument was that both of them were mercenary killers and would continue to kill for money so long as they were allowed to live. However, Naruto was of the mind that Haku and Zabuza weren't all that evil, and it was evident that the two of them really cared for each other. Naruto made mention to Kakashi that Zabuza, though the obvious master between the two of them, would listen to Haku, and Haku himself could be convinced if he was given the courage to stand up to Zabuza. If Naruto could convince Haku to develop enough confidence to tell Zabuza what he thought, then maybe they could both be convinced not only to stop their evil ways, but maybe even to join them. "After all," Naruto said, "is this entire thing we're doing not about saving lives and making allies out of enemies?" Kakashi thought about it. Sasuke still disagreed. "What do you think, Sakura?" Kakashi asked. Sakura gave it some thought. She looked at Naruto and then to Sasuke before back to Kakashi. "Both of them make very good points. I don't know how to choose. What do you think, Kakashi-sensei?" Kakashi thought about it. "How about this? I'll make a deal with you. If Naruto can convince Haku and Zabuza to forego their mercenary ways, then we'll spare them. But if they continue terrorizing people and refuse to listen to reason, then we'll go with Sasuke's idea. Given that we have a second chance, it's only right that we offer the same to them. We need to see if they can change, and if so, then we'll let them live. But if they continue down this path, then the only thing waiting for them is death. Does that sound like a fair idea?" Sasuke gave a nod of approval as Naruto declared that he would stop them from dying. Sakura smiled. "Whatever the outcome, I promise to do my best." Kakashi smiled. "Alright then, let's get into it." As they went about their time, Naruto would take it upon himself to talk with Inari about everything before remembering where he first met Haku. This gave Kakashi time to think about things. He recalled how Naruto always had been the heart of their team, and though he'd been annoying to some capacity in his younger years, it was his never-give-up attitude and his desire to protect and care for others that made him the truly superior shinobi. Naruto had picked a fight with the entire world system and had somehow come out on top. Kakashi had no doubt that Naruto could do this again. If it were possible to change Haku's mind, Naruto would do so. As Naruto walked out into the forest, he found a nice place beneath a tree and decided to sleep there. When he did so, he never noticed the time passing until a particular curious hand woke him. He opened his eyes with a smile. Oh, hello." The boy would smile at Naruto. "Hello, what are you doing out here?" Naruto sat up and rubbed his eyes with a yawn. I guess I was sleeping. Not the best behavior for a shinobi, but sometimes the best thing you can do is sleep. It's a very important part of building your strength. Haku nodded. I'm sure it is. Naruto sat there against the tree. You know what else is important to being a shinobi? What's that? Haku asked as he continued to pick flowers. Being honest. That doesn't really sound like an important part, Haku said with a slight chuckle. I don't exactly mean to the world. I mean to oneself. Haku was silent for a moment as Naruto continued. Haku, you need to be honest with yourself. A chill ran down Haku's spine. Haku, I think you're mistaken. Naruto shook his head. No mask can hide who you really are. At that moment, Haku pulled out a senbon that he'd been keeping hidden. He went straight to shove it into Naruto's eye, but before it could pierce the orb, Naruto caught it between two fingers. You should have just kept your mouth shut, Haku shouted as he applied all of his body weight behind the weapon. It still wasn't enough to push it in, though. Naruto flicked his wrist, knocking the senbon away. Naruto caught both of Haku's wrists in his grasp. You've been living your whole life behind a mask of some sort, haven't you? Haku was starting to grow terrified. Naruto spoke. As a child, you had a Kekai Genkai that your mother told you to hide for fear it would get you hurt. In the end, it did. It left you orphaned. Haku's eyes began to grow wider. That rabbit I saw earlier, it had your chakra attached to it. I assume it was your pet? Rabbits are extraordinarily hard to catch and turn into pets. It takes someone with an unnaturally kind, compassionate, and patient heart to do so. So why do you let Zabuza force you to kill? Haku tried to pull away, but Naruto's strength was unnaturally high for someone his age. Despite Haku being far older than this boy, his strength almost seemed to match that of Zabuza's. Haku, are you also trying to tame Zabuza? Haku stopped struggling when Naruto said that. Naruto smiled. Zabuza seeks a warrior, so just as before, you put on a mask. A new one. But just like the old one, it hides who you truly are deep down. But you do it because you believe you can pacify Zabuza, don't you? Haku sits down. How do you know these things? Naruto looks down and away. Imagine for a moment that I'm a fortune teller, and you're my client. Reading your palms, pulling the tarot. I just pulled your card, and it's death. The following two cards are the lovers and the devil. Does this tell you what your future is? Haku's face turned pale as a sheet. Naruto continued. I know you seek to pacify Zabuza, but you can't. Not the same way you pacified that rabbit. That rabbit was timid. Care and patience won out, but Zabuza isn't that way. You're not training him, he's training you. You need to get rough, or it's a guarantee that the two of you will die. He'll get in way over his head one day, very soon, and because of that, you'll sacrifice your life for him. I'd do it in a heartbeat. He's the closest thing to a true father that I have. Naruto's eyes showed compassion. I know. I don't condemn that, nor do I condemn your actions. You're part of an unforgiving world, and in this world, love is hard to foster and protect. Trust me, I know. But sometimes love comes in many different packages. One of the most potent forms of love I've seen, that I've ever experienced, is the kind that comes in the form of punishment. Rebuking. The one who can tell someone no is the one who loves them the most, because true love doesn't care if it's loved back. True love doesn't care if someone else thinks highly of them. True love is to do what's best for that person whether they like it or not. My story isn't one you could ever digest, but I can promise you, I know what I'm talking about. I could have come to you today with love and caring and telling you everything will be okay and that love will win the day if you only believe, but I won't do that because love won't. I'm warning you now of impending doom. Not only you, but Zabuza will soon die. And the way I know that is the way I knew all along your true name and your past. Are you truly a fortune teller? He asked. Fortune teller? If that helps you understand where I got this information from, then yes. Just know this. Zabuza has a free will, and so do you, but you can't enable him to do as he pleases. He's self-destructive and will get you killed, and then will die beside you. If you love him, then he doesn't need a meat shield. He needs someone to tell him no. Stand up to him. Take your mask off and bare your true face to him. Give him every ounce of your feelings. Today is the last chance for you to do so. Fail, and he will die. That I swear to you, on the lives of the children I left behind. Haku listened to what Naruto said with terror in his eyes. Pulling away, he stood and grabbed his flower basket. He looked at Naruto as if he were crazy and then ran away. Naruto sat there for a moment longer, thinking, hoping, praying that Haku would make the right decision. Naruto and the rest of Team 7 would be waiting at the bridge. Do you think it worked? Kakashi asked Naruto. I guess all we can do is wait and see, Naruto said. As time passed, nobody showed up. More time passed and both Zabuza and Haku failed to appear. Gato's men finally arrived. With a simple use of the Shadow Clone Jutsu, Team 7 scared everyone away. Sakura came up to Naruto, who stood on the edge of the bridge looking out over the water. "What did you say to Haku that convinced him to change his ways?" Naruto looked back with a smile. "I simply told him it was time to take the mask off." With the bridge completed, Team 7 was free to return to Konoha. There, they'd be allowed to sign up for the Chunin exams. As Naruto stood on the balcony of his apartment, he couldn't help but think about Zabuza and Haku. With a smile, he took in a deep breath and let it out. Perhaps he could change things for the better. They all could, and Naruto was happy to try. Naruto woke up bright and early, something he rarely ever did. Well, rarely before he was Hokage. Now that he was back in his old body again, some of those old habits really died hard. Of course, he wasn't the only one who was having to relearn what it was like to be young again. Sasuke, despite being left-handed, still wasn't able to write with anything but his right. Even now, as Sasuke was walking down the road with him, his left hand was left dangling by his side. "How did you sleep last night?" Naruto asked. Sasuke shrugged. Fine, I guess." "Well, let's hope you actually didn't sleep that bad, because we're starting the Chunin exams today. Finally, I'm gonna become a Chunin." Sasuke looked over. "Don't you remember? It got interrupted." Naruto giggled. "Yeah, it did, but it won't this time. I anticipate that we'll floor Orochimaru the moment he shows up, and Gaara probably won't be an issue. So, without much of an attack, I don't think that the exams will be interrupted this time." Sasuke sighed. You ever wonder what it's going to be like trying to make friends with the people you aren't going to meet in this new timeline? Naruto looked over. "What do you mean?" "Think about it. If I never leave, then you'll likely never need to go off with Jiraiya. And even if you do go off with him, you'll already know everything there is to know about what he's teaching you. And me, I'll never even get to meet Karin, Jugo, and Suigetsu." "Of course you will," Naruto said. "Just because you don't meet them the same way doesn't mean you're not going to meet them. If you really want to be friends with them, then go rescue them." Sasuke shook his head. "You just don't understand. Things aren't going to be the same. We can meet all of our old friends, but the circumstances are different. It won't be anywhere near as special. Imagine a world where Jiraiya lives but wants nothing to do with you." Naruto thinks about it, and it actually drives the smile from his face. "I think I'd still rather have that than he be dead." Sasuke nodded. "Except he's still going to die, and you can't exactly stop it without completely sounding like a nutcase. You want to ruin your life and chances of becoming Hokage? Things are a lot more complicated than I think you, Sakura, and Kakashi-sensei are giving them credit for." "Even so, how are we supposed to change any of that?" another voice said. They looked over and saw Sakura coming. She walked up and hugged Sasuke before sneaking a smooch from him, making Naruto look away. "Listen, guys," she said as she pulled back, pushing her hair to the side. "Some things aren't going to be the same, but we need to prepare for that. Just like Naruto said, it's better that they be happy, healthy, and alive rather than friends who will die tragically." "And if he can't stop Jiraiya from dying?" Sasuke asked. Sakura sighed. "He'll be able to." "And if he's not?" Sasuke insisted. Sakura then answered the question. "Then I guess it really wasn't meant to be. Not everything is in our hands. Fate isn't something that we can control easily without repercussions. There are certain things under our control that we can change, and certain things we can't. We need to be wise and discerning to know the difference, and above all else, we can't let it destroy us, especially when we know we tried our best. So we need to focus on the positives, not the negatives. We're going to change a lot of stuff during our lives here, so until we head back to our own timeline, let's try and help this one along as best we can." Sasuke sighed. "If that's what you guys think we should do." The three of them continued walking until they reached the academy. Within were many other shinobi from different villages. Sasuke shook his head. "So help me, Naruto, I swear. If you..." Naruto stepped forward. "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm here to say that I'm gonna beat every single one of you and become the next Hokage." Sasuke covered his face in shame, and Sakura looked over at him and elbowed him with a sly smile. "And here I thought you didn't want to change anything." They all entered the room where they'd take their first exam, and as they sat there, the sheets of paper were passed out to everyone. Now that Naruto had the benefit of experience, he could actually make sense of the questions on the sheet. As time began, he found himself answering each and every one of the questions rather quickly and accurately. This was the benefit of being Hokage. Sakura had already found these easy when she originally took them, so now she just breezed through without a single wrong answer. Time to spare, too. Sasuke didn't need to use his Sharingan to cheat, but he did so anyway, just to keep it as one-to-one accurate as possible. When the time expired, the final question was revealed, but considering that everyone already remembered this stuff, there was no cause for alarm. They just accepted it without issue and sat back to be told they passed, which they did. Everything was going perfectly. That's when the second test happened. The Forest of Death. Entering the forest, they'd be handed their Heaven Scroll and be told to find an Earth Scroll. "How about we nab that one from Orochimaru when we kill him?" Naruto said. Sasuke let out a sigh. "I don't think we should be killing Orochimaru." "What? Why not?" Sakura asked. "Did you guys bang your heads when you woke up this morning? He's still alive during our timeline." Yeah, well, you had to bring him back to life," Naruto said. "Just do that again." "This isn't about that, Naruto." "Then what's it about?" Naruto asked. "Are you planning to run off with him this time too?" Naruto asked. Sasuke was silent for a moment. Sakura felt her heart drop. Naruto's smile faded. "You are planning to run off with him again, aren't you?" Sasuke looked back. "Look, I know I'm the stoic one, but I have things I care about too, and I strongly feel that changing things too much will cause something bad to happen. I feel like I need to do this." "But weren't you the one who said that Jiraiya wouldn't want anything to do with me?" Naruto said. "That I'd be too strong already, and he'd view it as a waste of time." Sasuke looked at Naruto out of the corner of his eyes. "What about you, Sasuke? What'll Orochimaru think about you? At best, you'll hide it and he'll not know, only to train you and inject you with drugs designed to increase your power that you already have. That's gonna be very dangerous for you. It could lower your lifespan." "I know the costs, Naruto." Naruto stood there. "I have to kill Orochimaru. If I don't, he'll kill Old Man Hiruzen. Nobody dies if I have it my way. Nobody but Orochimaru, who you can revive again later with Anko's curse mark and Kabuto's help. For me, someone dear to me will die. I can't let you do that." Sasuke stood there, looking at Naruto without flinching, without lashing out. He was in total control. "I'm not gonna let Hiruzen die, but you also need to consider what you're going to do to get Tsunade to come to Konoha. You need to understand, we might not be able to save everyone, and not bringing Tsunade to the village will have ramifications for a lot of people. Rock Lee, for instance, he won't ever be able to be a shinobi again. His career will be over. And though I'm not trying to judge, Hiruzen wasn't the best Hokage during the 2nd and 3rd Shinobi World Wars. I don't know if I trust him with the 4th. "There won't be a 4th, Naruto said. "Then there won't be world peace," Sasuke replied. "I feel strongly about this, Naruto. You need to keep quiet, step back, and defer to me." "Defer to you? You act like I'm an idiot. I'm the 7th Hokage." "You were the 7th Hokage. Now you're a rambunctious genin, the same as you were 30 minutes before having it passed to you." "How dare you!" Sakura stepped between them. "Naruto, Sasuke, calm down. We're both fighting the same battles here. We all want to see the world as a better place, but we're not sure how to do it, and now the stress is starting to get to us. Let's just be calm and not worry about it, okay?" She began to lead them off. As they continued, they reached the area around when Orochimaru was going to show up. Sasuke would speak. "Hey, guys." They would turn around to see what he was going to say, but suddenly were met by his Mangekyo Sharingan, casting them both under momentary genjutsu. He stepped out. When he did, Orochimaru appeared. Orochimaru tried to startle Sasuke with his killing intent, but Sasuke maintained his ground. "Interesting. Not even a shiver. You must be made of sterner stuff," he said. The two launched into battle against each other. Sasuke tried his best to remember how it went, but without Naruto or Sakura around, he knew it couldn't be perfect. So he kept Orochimaru on his toes, guessing, trying to display some potential but not too much of it. Sasuke would then let himself be open to an attack, knowing Orochimaru really wanted him at this moment. He would mark him with the curse mark of heaven before disappearing. Sasuke would move along the ground for a time before falling over and passing out. It was at about this time that Naruto and Sakura were waking up. They found him laying there. Sakura ran over to him to check up on him. Then she noticed the mark. Naruto noticed it too. "Damn fool," he said. "He knocked us out to make room for saving Orochimaru." Sakura listened to his chest. "His pulse is strong, as is his respiration. He's okay." "Of course he's okay," Naruto said. "Sasuke survived it when he was just a kid. You think he won't survive it as a stronger kid?" Sakura sighed. "Just help me carry him." They lifted Sasuke up and began to carry him off to rest. There they tended to him and watched over while he was unconscious. Team Dosu appeared to try and kill him, but were easily trounced by Naruto. As time went on, Sasuke awakened. Coming out from where he was hidden, he walked over. "Are we ready to go?" Naruto turned around and punched him in the face, knocking Sasuke on his butt. "You idiot! You knocked us out! How dare you do something like that to us?" Sasuke then proceeded to sweep Naruto's feet, putting him on the ground too. He rolled over on top of Naruto and raised a fist. "I did it because you were gonna kill him." Naruto wrestled his arms free, caught Sasuke's fist, and responded with another punch to the nose. Sasuke rolled off. Both boys rose to their feet, ready to fight again. They rushed each other and locked arms. That was until Sakura came up behind them, grabbed them by the napes of their necks like bad little puppies before bonking their heads together. She tossed them apart. "Enough!" she shouted as she looked back at them. "I'm sick and tired of this shit. If you two can't get along, I'm gonna put you both into a medically induced coma until all of this is over with. Do you understand?" Naruto looked at Sasuke. "Hiruzen better not die." Sasuke looked at Naruto. "Tsunade better become Hokage." For the most part of the rest of the exams, they were both very silent. Sakura led them off toward the tower. Nobody spoke until they reached the middle, where they opened the scrolls and saw Iruka come out, congratulating them. Though he was sure to mention how they didn't seem all that happy about passing the second test. Sakura feigned a smile. "We're just tired, Iruka-sensei." He smiled. "I'll bet you are. You guys look like you could use some rest, especially Sasuke." Sasuke's face was bruised, his clothes were torn, and he looked like he had seen better days. After that, Naruto and Sasuke didn't talk to each other for a while. They went to the exhibition matches where they both proceeded to pass into the second round. Sakura also managed to pass, beating Ino easily in a match. As time to train came around, Naruto would seek out Jiraiya to get him to train him. All the while, Sasuke just sort of waited around. He maintained himself, which was all he really needed to do at this point, but that being said, he was mostly quiet. Sakura had told Kakashi about it. Kakashi came to see Sasuke to talk about it. "Sakura told me that you and Naruto got into a knockdown dragout together. Bruh, you get put into your childhood bodies and all of a sudden you guys forget how to be an adult." Kakashi sat down. "Wanna talk about it?" Sasuke looked out the window and then spoke. "They wanted to kill Orochimaru. I didn't want them to." "Any particular reason why?" Kakashi asked. "Well, besides the fact that he creates Mitsuki, the best friend of our kids, I was planning to join him again." Kakashi rubs his single exposed eye. "Why would you do that?" Kakashi asks curiously. Sasuke looked to him. "It may not look it, but I have friends too." He then looked out the window at the face of Hiruzen carved into the side of the mountain. "Not to mention that it's of my opinion that Hiruzen not be Hokage anymore." Kakashi then understood. "So that's why you and Naruto fought. You're planning to let Hiruzen die, and he's planning to save him." Sasuke nodded. "I don't want Hiruzen to die, but I need him to step aside, and I need Tsunade to be Hokage again. Or you. I need someone I can depend upon being Hokage during the conflict." "You don't have much confidence in Hiruzen, do you?" Kakashi asked. Sasuke nodded. "Not just the first and second Great Ninja Wars, but he did nothing to solve the Hyuga affair, and he also didn't do much to stop the Uchiha clan massacre. I just have no trust that he won't somehow make things worse for us. Not to mention, people like Rock Lee will need Tsunade here. She'll do far more things for Konoha than Hiruzen would. I think Naruto's being selfish." Kakashi shook his head. "But don't you think you're infringing upon Naruto's territory a little? You may not love Hiruzen, but he does. Imagine Naruto said he needed to kill Karin, Jugo, and Suigetsu to get the most optimal future. Wouldn't you fight back?" Sasuke rubbed his temples. "I know I sound hypocritical, but imagine that it makes the world worse by letting him remain." Kakashi stood. "How strongly do you feel about this?" Sasuke looked up. "Strong enough to die for it." Kakashi nodded and took that into consideration. He then left. Kakashi went to Naruto to have the same conversation, but no matter how much he tried to explain Sasuke's point, it didn't take. "He might not have any faith in Hiruzen, but I do, and I'm not gonna watch someone kill him. Hiruzen's a good man and a friend. I won't let anyone kill him, even Sasuke." "And how strongly do you feel about that?" Kakashi asked. Naruto looked over. "Strong enough to die for." Kakashi, knowing that this was heading in a very bad direction, stood up and began to leave the room. As he did, he was met by Sakura. "So, what are we gonna do?" Kakashi looked at her. "The only thing we can do." Kakashi walked to the office of the Hokage. Getting inside, he scheduled an appointment with Hiruzen to speak with him. When his time finally came, he walked in and spoke to the elderly Hokage. "Ah, Kakashi, welcome. It's been quite some time since we've had a casual visit. This is casual, isn't it?" Kakashi sighed. "I wish it was, but it seems to be about anything but." Hiruzen sat forward. "What's going on?" Kakashi sat down. "Imagine for a moment that my team and I are time travelers." Hiruzen was confused. "You're not time travelers, are you?" Kakashi shrugged and raised his hands in resignation. "We're time travelers." "How is that possible?" Hiruzen asked. Kakashi then spoke. "Space-time ninjutsu or something. We're from like 20 years in the future, and we've seen a lot of the events that will transpire. That includes these Chunin exams. And because of that, in the timeline which we're from, you are killed in the upcoming weeks. You'd be replaced by Tsunade, and then the threat of the Akatsuki appears. This conflict would result in the Fourth Shinobi World War that Tsunade and later I lead us out of successfully. Hiruzen's face displayed confusion. Kakashi then speaks. One of ours is not sure whether he wants to save you from death, while the other is. One doesn't want you to be Hokage at the time, while the other wants you to be alive because he loves you. So basically, what I'm asking you to do is resign after the exams conclude. If you do so and name Tsunade as your replacement, both parties will be in agreement, and I kind of need that. Hiruzen seemed like he wasn't sure what to believe. Kakashi then spoke. Okay, how about a new tactic? Sasuke knows you were partially responsible for the Uchiha downfall, and he knows that Itachi did it all under orders from Danzo. If you don't step down, we will leak this information and have you forcefully removed from office. Step down after the end of the Chunin exams, and at least you get a golden parachute in your dignity. Capiche? He turned around and left, leaving Hiruzen in complete and utter shock. Kakashi went back and told Sasuke what he had done. If we can get Hiruzen to step down from office and be replaced by Tsunade, will you let go of your need to have Orochimaru kill him? Sasuke nodded. I won't let Orochimaru kill Hiruzen if Hiruzen steps down. Kakashi let out a sigh. Thank heavens. Now, you and Naruto need to patch things up, because we can't have you two at each other's throat for the next 20 years. Sasuke nodded. He stood up and would seek Naruto out. He would find him training with Jiraiya. There, he would wait until they could have a moment alone to talk. What do you want? Naruto asked. Sasuke spoke. Listen, I don't actually want Hiruzen dead. I just need him replaced. Tsunade is a better Hokage. I want Hiruzen to live, like you. Kakashi said he found a way to get Hiruzen to step down and name Tsunade as the next Hokage, and because of that, I'm gonna back off. We still need Orochimaru alive, but we can stop him from killing Hiruzen. So what do you say? Can we just let this issue go? Sasuke raised his hand to form the sign of reconciliation. Naruto looked down at it and let out a deep sigh. He took the hand and finished the formation. I'll let it go. Just make sure you don't let Hiruzen die. Sasuke nodded, and with that he walked away. It was during this time he actually sent out a hidden request to speak with Orochimaru using some of the sound ninja as go-betweens. Sasuke was told to wait near the Will of Fire monument. Sasuke waited toward the center of the cemetery. It was then that a Jonin appeared. Sasuke looked up at the Jonin. What are you doing out here at night, youngster? He said. Cut the act, Orochimaru. I know it's you. You can't hide from me. The shinobi reached up and clawed at his face, ripping it off like a mask, only to reveal the white skin of the fallen Sannin. The voice shifting to a nefarious gravel, he spoke. I was told you wished to see me. Sasuke nodded. I've come to make a proposal. I'm listening, he said. I've come to offer myself to your tutelage as you desire. In exchange, I want you to call off your attack on Konoha. Orochimaru sneered a little. What attack? You know what I'm talking about. Your murder of the 4th Kazekage, the Sound Ninja, your plans for Gaara, your assassination designs for Hiruzen, all of it. Orochimaru's smile vanished into disgust, distaste at how Sasuke seemed to have him pegged. You're well informed, it seems. Tell me who told you and we have a deal. Sasuke shook his head. If you think we need a mole to find this information, you're grossly underestimating Konoha. You're grossly underestimating me if you think I didn't take every precaution. The only way you could have known is from a leak. We knew from a profile, one you confirmed for me just now. We know who you are, Orochimaru. We can make educated guesses and plan for them, and I'm pleased to hear our guesses were correct. Sasuke was blowing hot air right now. Nobody else knew even in the slightest about Orochimaru's plans, but Orochimaru didn't need to know that. This information gave Sasuke a bargaining chip, and with it he could accomplish both his goals and Naruto's. Orochimaru took in a deep breath and let it out in a sigh, letting his emotions flow out with the exhausted oxygen, smiling thereafter. You are indeed a smart and skilled shinobi. The word prodigy is lost on you, but I can't help but wonder why someone with as much promise as you would hope to defect from Konoha just to join me. I don't see what I can offer you at all. Sasuke then spoke. I'm plateauing here. There's no challenge. Like my brother, I'm finding it hard to measure my vessel against the other people here. I need something a bit more than this if I wish to conquer him. Orochimaru smiled. Ah yes, Itachi. I've come across him in my travels. He is indeed a shinobi of great skill. There have been few to surpass his might, and you have yet to display the feats required for me to believe you can beat him. But now we come down to real business. What is it you offer me in return? Is it not obvious for you what reason I marked you? Surely you know by now what I'm after, and I know you're not willing to give me that. Sasuke nodded. I'm not willing to give you my body, no. However, I do have things I can offer you. Orochimaru, finger curled over his chin, unable to hide his evil smile, spoke. I'm listening. Sasuke then pushed his hair to the side and displayed his left eye. Orochimaru looked up at it and did a double take. What is that? He asked. Sasuke smiled. This is the Rinnegan. I awakened it just a few months ago. I'm not sure how I did it, but if anyone can figure it out, it's you. Not to mention, I know you seek the Sharingan. If I manage to kill Itachi in battle, you can claim his remains, Sharingan included. Does that sound good? Orochimaru's smile was now a grin. Indeed, it does sound adequate. Shall we be off then? You'll call your men off? Sasuke asked, making sure of it. Orochimaru nodded. You have my word. That's not worth much, Sasuke said. Orochimaru snickered. It's the best you'll get. Okay, I just need to stop by my apartment and grab a few necessities. Is that okay with you? Orochimaru nodded. I'll have my Sound 4 waiting outside the village for you. If they verify this isn't a trap, they'll lead you to me. Then I'll meet them outside the village. And with that, Orochimaru was gone. Sasuke let out a sigh and began to make his way home to his apartment. He entered and grabbed his bag. He began to write out a letter to Sakura. It said, To my dearest Sakura, I apologize that I can't do this in person, but I know you'd probably try to stop me. There are certain things that must happen for the best future to come about. I know you've told me not to worry about such things, but I have to. I'm not just fighting for a good future. I'm fighting for the best future in my eyes, and that future is the only acceptable one. Due to this, I'm required to make tough choices, including being away from you for these many years to come. But when the time is right, I will appear again, and when I do, I'll be yours once again. I shall think and dream of you until I return. With my love forever yours, Sasuke. Laying the piece of paper down where it would be easily found, he began to make his way out the door. As he left, walking down the road toward the gate, he was stopped when he felt a presence. A voice spoke to him. You weren't even gonna tell me, were you? Sasuke, standing there with his hands in his pockets, spoke. You know, we've done this before. I don't care about the deja vu, I care about you. Sasuke took a deep breath and turned around to see Sakura waiting there for him. I knew that if I told you, you'd surely come after me. Of course I would. I don't want you going with him. Do you underestimate me? Sasuke asked. Do you underestimate Orochimaru? He's a scientist, a logical mind, a thinker. That's why he survived the Fourth Great Ninja War. Because he had intel, techniques, because he knows how to maximize value and how to get what he wants. Regardless of the training you've done, it takes more than a high skill level to beat Orochimaru. And what about when he discovers your Rinnegan? He actually already knows about it, Sasuke said. Sakura sat there silently for a moment. She then spoke. He'll create plans to handle that, she said. You're gonna play all your cards and he's still gonna be drawing. You can't go with him. Sakura. He stepped toward her as she continued talking. No, you can't go with him. I won't allow it. He'll kill you. I can't live without... Sasuke kissed her. Her anger turned to shock, slowly before tears overtook her. Her eyes closed to enjoy the moment. Sasuke pulled his lips back before touching his forehead to hers, raising his hands to caress her cheek. Sakura, this world is bigger than either of us. I failed at once being selfish, and now I must do things I don't want to accomplish my mission. And to do that, it means you need to let me go again. I don't know that I can, she said as her tears continued to roll down her face. You have to, Sakura. You've done it once, and you can do it again. But this time it'll be far easier, because you have my word. I swear it on Sarada's life, I will come back. She gripped his shirt tightly as her teeth grit. You better come back. She hugged him tightly. If you die, I'll learn a reanimation jutsu, just so I can kick your ass. Sasuke smiled. Deal. They hugged for a moment. That was until Kimimaro appeared behind Sasuke. How touching, he said in a monotone voice. Are you coming, or have you gotten cold feet? Sasuke looked back. I'm coming, just give me 1 second. He looked to Sakura and tried to pry free from her hug. You need to let me go now, Sakura. I don't know that I can, she said. You have to. It's time to let me go again. Let me go. Slowly, her hands released from around him. He gave her one final kiss, to which Kimimaro turned his head away. Sasuke turned around and began to walk toward Kimimaro. Sakura then shouted at him, You better take care of Sasuke, you hear? If you don't, I'll kill you. Kimimaro scoffed. Sure, if the cancer doesn't beat you to it. He turned around and began to walk away. He led Sasuke out into the night. Sakura watched until she couldn't see him anymore. She took a seat on a nearby bench and began to cry. It wasn't long until she felt a hand upon her shoulder. She looked up to see Kakashi standing there. She tried to suck it up. It seems that no matter how old I get, you still have to do this, she said in reference to him comforting her with his presence. Kakashi then spoke. I'll do it as many times as I need to. Sakura felt her emotional control waver again as she began to cry once more. With Sasuke now out of the running for Chunin, the exams continued as they were planned to. Naruto faced off against Neji Hyuga and came out victorious, but now, instead of Sasuke, it was Sakura herself facing off against Gaara. All the smart money was on the boy from the sand, but those who knew, knew. Kakashi was already hedging bets on Sakura and was ready to make a killing. As soon as the battle started, she would rush in with her fists ready. She would send out a punch only for Gaara to try and catch it with the sand. He was shocked to see her fist actually make it through and was only an inch from his face when the sand stopped it. Gaara took a few steps back, his expression darkening and becoming more dire. He was both impressed and insulted that it was a little girl who pushed through his sand defenses when even the green shinobi with the inner gates couldn't do so. Sakura drew closer again to strike, but as she did, Gaara released spikes from his sand shell that pierced through Sakura's shoulder. She let out a cry, drawing the happiness of Gaara. Gaara would bring the shell down and prepare to strike her, being certain to let his killer instinct take over. Half of his face and one of his arms transformed into a look resembling Shukaku. He launched forward for a finishing blow. Sakura removed the sand spike from her shoulder before using Creation Rebirth to heal the wound. She noticed Gaara running toward her. She smashed the ground, sending a shockwave that flicked Gaara into the air. As he flew overhead, Sakura turned around, repositioned herself, and let off a real punch. This strike hit Gaara in the face so hard that he went flying, striking the wall and passing out from the pain. Sakura was declared the winner, and Kakashi was ready to collect his winnings. Naruto would visit Gaara and begin to explain to him his life story, sharing experiences with him. He basically gave him the old Takno Jutsu therapy session, and with enough time, Naruto seemed to break through to Gaara, making him understand. When Gaara left the village, they were certain that he would make the perfect Kazekage. It was then time for Sakura and Naruto to have a match of their own. The two entered the ring together. This would decide who became Chunin first. For the sake of playing their cards close to their chest and not overdoing it in front of everyone, they both agreed beforehand that neither would use any transformations, only their base forms and the things that came with that. As the battle began, they ran at each other and offered a meeting of the fists. As their fists struck, it became clear that out of the two of them, Sakura had more raw physical strength, but the more they fought, the more Naruto would gain the advantage. In the end, Naruto would come out on top, but just barely. With the exams over, Sakura and Naruto would both be given the rank of Chunin. Despite that, Naruto still left with Jiraiya for a couple years to train. Hiruzen would step down and Tsunade would replace him. Sakura would spend time growing close to her old mentor just as everyone else was. For the next 2.5 years, they all trained, or more like maintained their strength, keeping as much on the previously known path as possible. Altogether, they waited for the Akatsuki to arrive. That's truly what it was now, a waiting game. With hope in their hearts, they prepared for the future. Naruto sat on his balcony and thought about everything that had occurred. With Sasuke leaving the village alongside Orochimaru, there was no attack during the Chunin exams. Naruto looked back into his apartment and saw the flak jacket of a Chunin sitting there, hanging from a hook on the wall. He had achieved the rank of Chunin, which was something new, something totally new. As he looked out over the village, the sun was beginning to rise, and Naruto had awakened early. He was supposed to travel off with Jiraiya today to begin his training for the upcoming future. That being said, he wasn't sure how much he could learn from Jiraiya. To a point, Naruto felt as though he had been too harsh on Sasuke. After all, Naruto was going off to train with Jiraiya in the hopes of having again what he had lost, a friend. While it was Sasuke's plan to allow Hiruzen to die, thankfully Kakashi had found a good middle ground. Inexplicably, just after the Chunin exams, Hiruzen had stepped down from being Hokage. Of course, Naruto and Sakura had known why, but as his last command, he sent both Naruto and Jiraiya to find the next Hokage. Kakashi had told Naruto that he was the reason Hiruzen left office. After the prior conversation, Kakashi met with Hiruzen at the end of the Chunin exams to speak, and there they talked about what had happened. Hiruzen admitted to Kakashi that he needed to retire, saying that he had long since lost his desire to be Hokage and simply hadn't attempted to replace himself since there was no one he felt worthy to replace Minato. Kakashi and Hiruzen had spoken about what kind of man Minato had been. Hiruzen stated that he had considered giving the position up to one of his students, but Jiraiya didn't want it. Orochimaru, and Tsunade was too deep in her vices and didn't seem interested enough in the position. But when Kakashi mentioned that she would take it and make for a good Hokage, Hiruzen further questioned if he really was from the future, to which Kakashi admitted that he was. He said that he couldn't explain it, but that he just needed Hiruzen to trust him. Hiruzen would do just that and would send Naruto and Jiraiya to recruit Tsunade. Upon getting there, Naruto was nervous about how she would choose to become Hokage, especially with the fact that Orochimaru was not trying to harass her. Naruto would have a hard time proving himself to her and convincing her. He thought back about that time. He recalled walking into the Tenezuka quarters with his master in an attempt to recruit Tsunade. At first, she didn't seem interested in joining the group. Jiraiya attempted to get her to join, but she refused him outright. Naruto tried to remain quiet and let his master do all the talking, but when Tsunade began to get up and leave, he called out to her. "Wait!" She looked at him in confusion, wondering how a weak whelp like him could address a Sannin like that. Naruto was already out of his seat as she was rising from hers. "Please, Lady Tsunade, can't you consider it? If only for a little while. 4 years at least. 4 years of my life I'll never get back. My life is already short enough at this age. I don't have the time to waste on that village." She turned around and began to leave. Naruto spoke from behind her. "Have you ever felt like there was something you were supposed to do with your life, but you never did? Some regret hidden in your heart that you couldn't change if you wanted to because you didn't know what caused it?" Tsunade looked over her shoulder at Naruto as he continued. "Listen, Miss Tsunade. I can't ever tell you what to do, and I could never dare to stand before your legend and demand action from it. I know you must be so tired, but I beg you, 4 years is all I ask. Just a little time to help the village. Hiruzen is retiring and finds nobody worthy but you." "What about Jiraiya?" she asked. "Why can't Jiraiya be Hokage?" Naruto looked back at his master. "Hiruzen considered it, but he wasn't so sure Jiraiya would be a good fit." "I can't say I disagree with him," Jiraiya said as he sat back in his chair. Naruto walked to Tsunade and fell on his hands and knees, begging. "Please, Lady Tsunade, you have the potential to be one of the best Hokage since your grandfather. I know the position is bitter to you, but you must move past your loss if you're to leave behind a legacy to be remembered." Tsunade's face began to show anger. "Move past my loss?" she questioned as flashes of Den and Nawaki appeared in her head. "I've seen what that position can do to people, what the desire to chase it can do. I've lost loved ones to that position before, and you have the gall to basically tell me to suck it up and do it anyway?" She lifted Naruto from the ground. "You don't know what I've seen. How many people I've seen die because of that position. Because of either the incompetence behind it or because of the foolish dream to chase it. You know nothing of my loss," she said. Naruto looked at her through sympathetic eyes, not even struggling despite his toes no longer being able to feel the ground. "I was hurt too," he said simply as he looked directly into her eyes. "I felt pain. There's a cost to being Hokage, to being a ninja. Sometimes we pay for it, or worse, sometimes someone we love pays." Tsunade's eyes seemed to be faltering from her anger now, and a revelation seemed to be forming. "What did you lose?" she asked. "Everything," he said. Despite Naruto's happy-go-lucky attitude, looking deep into his eyes, one could see a subtle sorrow masked by his happiness. Tsunade saw wisdom in those eyes, not too dissimilar from the kind she saw in Jiraiya's. Not too dissimilar from what she had seen in her grandfather's eyes. Eyes that had seen much, too much, and were yet to see more. She lowered Naruto slowly to the ground. As soon as his feet touched down and his collar was released, he took a few steps forward and placed his head into the towering woman's stomach in the loosest hug imaginable. No arms, just the affection of someone who is now bearing their pain on the sleeve to show the cost of what being a Hokage meant. Tsunade felt it. It was so much. "Who is this child?" she asked Jiraiya as she felt she might cry. Naruto's chakra was communicating with Tsunade's, allowing her to feel what he was feeling, and it was bringing her to the edge of tears, and she didn't know why. Jiraiya spoke. "That is Naruto Uzumaki. He's the son of Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. He's the current Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, and he's suffered more than any child ever should," he said to her. "I know that the position scares you," he said, "but you will be a good Hokage. I know it. I believe in you, Tsunade-chan." For a moment, Tsunade was a little girl again in her grandfather's arms. She saw herself as a child holding a fat stack of cash she won from a game she had played by accident, her first experience gambling. It was then as if Hashirama's voice spoke to her from beyond. "You've never been afraid to gamble. Why start now? This is the greatest game you'll ever play, and the stakes are higher than they've ever been. Will you let this experience pass you by? Win or lose, it'll be a thrill. What do you say?" Tsunade smiled as she stroked Naruto's hair. "I don't know who you are, Naruto, but you have a particular way of convincing people to do what's right. Fine, I'll be your Hokage." As the flashback came to a close, Naruto was sitting there on his balcony again, looking out over the village. He saw in the distance how they were carving Tsunade's face into the monument. Naruto smiled. Tsunade and Naruto were distant, yes, but there was a familial relationship there. Naruto was an Uzumaki, and Tsunade was a Senju, who herself was half Uzumaki. In a way, most had always thought it disrespectful for Naruto to call her granny, but in truth, it was a title that she could hold. She was old enough to be his grandmother and was also a member, even if distant, of his clan. As he gazed upon the outline of her face becoming visible in the rock wall, he heard a voice call out to him. "Hey, Naruto!" Naruto looked down and saw Jiraiya at ground level, waving up to him. Naruto waved back. "You ready to go?" he asked. Naruto looked down beside him at the pack he had sitting there. It was all ready to go. He lifted it up. "I'm ready," he said. He then stood on the rail of the balcony and jumped on down to Jiraiya. Jiraiya turned around. "Alrighty, let's go." Jiraiya began to lead Naruto off. As they reached the edge of the gate, he turned around and saw that Kakashi and Sakura had shown up to see him off. They both waved at Naruto, who waved back at them. They didn't have to speak. Their eyes told everything they needed to know. Leaving the village, he made the journey with Jiraiya back to his home. For a time, he trained, but something started becoming increasingly obvious to Jiraiya. "You're faking it, aren't you?" Naruto questioned what he meant by that, and Jiraiya elaborated. "You're faking the difficulty. It's nowhere near as hard as it seems to you. You're failing on purpose to make it look like you don't know what you're doing, aren't you?" Naruto shook his head. "No, why would I do something like that?" "I don't know. Why would you, Naruto?" Jiraiya asked, expecting an answer. Naruto took a deep breath in and sighed. "I don't know if you'll believe me if I told you." "Try me," Jiraiya said. Naruto spoke. "I'm a time traveler." Jiraiya didn't seem fazed. "Don't you think I'm pulling your leg?" Naruto asked. Jiraiya shook his head. "No, because Hiruzen told me something interesting. He told me that Kakashi had said the same thing, and that you and Kakashi came from the future." Naruto nodded. "It's true." Jiraiya seemed to grow upset. He pursed his lips. "So I guess that means you already know everything I'm teaching you." Naruto let out a nod. Jiraiya bit his bottom lip. "So then why are you wasting my time? Why do I need to teach you stuff you already know?" Naruto walked over to him. "Because I miss you." Jiraiya looked at him out of the corner of his eyes. "Miss me?" Naruto nodded. "Our bond grew so deep during the years we spent together, and traveling back in time, I wasn't sure if I could ever go back to the time I came from. For all I know, it no longer exists. You were like a father to me, Jiraiya, and I just needed you back in my life. I grew up without parents. You became one to me. I can't just keep losing everything." Jiraiya sat there for a moment. "What all have you lost, Naruto?" Naruto began to explain. "I lost you, my parents, my wife, and my 2 beautiful children to this time-traveling thing. I just can't keep losing everything. I need to have back what I lost. I'm going to get it back. I just need the people I love to want me back." Jiraiya's expression softened as he pulled Naruto into a hug. All right, it's fine. We'll keep it up, but if the bonding is what you're after, then maybe we can focus on that. I've been needing someone to bounce ideas for my novels off of. Maybe you could help me." Naruto smiled. "I'd be happy to." As Naruto's training eventually began to switch into 2.5 years of bonding, Sakura began to search for the same thing with Tsunade. As often as she could, she exposed herself to Tsunade's presence. Eventually, Tsunade noticed her. And that was all Sakura really needed. From the get-go, Sakura knew that she would never be able to possibly train under Tsunade again, considering that she already knew everything Tsunade had to teach her. That would not only be an impossible lie to keep up, but a complete and total waste of her time. She needed another idea to keep things interesting. As she finally managed to get Tsunade to talk to her, Tsunade eventually noticed. "What's that mark on your forehead?" Tsunade honestly already knew what it was, but she needed to be sure that it was real and not some random tattoo. Sakura then explained that she was using the strength of 100 seal. Tsunade was shocked. Her face told as much, but that expression didn't last long. It then switched into a smiling disbelief. "Don't think you can pull one over on me," she said. Sakura shook her head. "I'm not. Look." She proceeded to activate the seal, letting the markings spread across her whole body. Tsunade was astounded. "For someone so young to have such a technique, you must be quite the extraordinary girl." "Thank you, Lady Tsunade. I'm also a bit of a medical nin myself. I've been studying hard." Tsunade was intrigued. "What's the highest level technique you can utilize?" Sakura blushed a little. This was very awkward and felt like she was bragging about herself, but then again, she was simply being honest. "Creation rebirth," she said. She expected a massive reaction to come from it, but instead of any reaction, she received nothing. Just a look of curiosity on Tsunade's face mixed with disbelief. "Are you lying to me about this?" she asked. Sakura shook her head. "There will be consequences if you're lying to me," she sternly told Sakura. Sakura shook her head. "I am not lying." "Then give me your hand," Tsunade demanded. Sakura held out her hand. Tsunade proceeded to pull out a kunai and quickly slash open a gash in Sakura's arm lengthwise from wrist to elbow. It was so quick, she hardly had enough time to process what happened. Sakura let out a gasp of shock and pain. Tsunade looked up at Sakura. "If you're telling the truth, then this should heal no problem, right?" Sakura's arm was bleeding. "Hurry, Sakura. I'm certain I hit an artery. Heal it now or you'll die." Sakura took a deep breath, and then slowly the wound closed up. Tsunade was astounded. "All I have to do is release enough chakra and force my cells to reproduce. It will close up the wound." Tsunade sat there for a moment before grabbing Sakura's collar and pulling her in, as if she were about to beat her to death. "What is this?" she demanded to know. Sakura's eyes were filled with terror. This was not what she expected to happen. She thought Tsunade might be happy to see someone so gifted and maybe take them under her wing, but instead she was reacting violently. "What are you, a spy? There's no way you could learn that." "Why not?" Sakura asked. "Because I invented it and I taught it to no one, not even Shizune. How do you know it?" Sakura almost looked as if she wanted to cry. I just, tell me where you learned it," Tsunade said as her own strength of 100 marks spread across her body. Sakura ripped her arm away and pushed back. "I learned it from you," she shouted. Tsunade shook her head. "You didn't learn it from me. I never taught you. I never taught anyone. Lying will get you nowhere, girl." Sakura shook her head as she wiped tears from her eyes. "I did learn it from you. I learned it from you in another time." "Time travel then," Tsunade scoffed. Sakura then spoke. "It's true. If you want to know more, why don't you ask Hiruzen? He knows." Tsunade scowled. "You think I'm gonna believe such a ludicrous story?" "Why not? How else would I know this?" Tsunade popped her knuckles. "No, you're a spy sent by Orochimaru. That's all there is to it. That's the only explanation. You think I was born yesterday, girl?" Tsunade rushed in to attack Sakura. She swung her fist only for Sakura to dodge out of the way. "Lady Tsunade, this is ridiculous. You can't kill me for just suspecting something like that." "I can and I will." She grabbed the ground and ripped it up, sending a wave of rubble towards Sakura, only for her to dodge it just barely. Sakura, her own seal still active, attempted to stand. Tsunade was on her in a moment, swinging her fists left and right. A left hook, a right jab, a left uppercut, a right gut shot. Each of these attacks at once landed, and as Sakura doubled over from the pain, Tsunade grabbed Sakura by the back, kneed her in the face, then lifted her up and threw her down. "What's the matter, girl? If you were taught by me, then fight back. I should have taught you everything. If I did, you should be able to easily counter my fighting style." She kicked Sakura in the ribs and sent her rolling, smashing her against the wall. Sakura laid there for a moment, blood dripping from her mouth and nose as her healing attempted to undo the damage done. Tsunade walked over and scoffed. "Weak. Charlatan." She spat on Sakura. She raised her fist to bash Sakura's brains in. As she went to punch her, Tsunade was surprised when Sakura's hand raised up. She caught the fist. Tsunade was confused. Sakura looked up, her eyes filled with rage. "I was wrong. You're not the same Tsunade I knew at all. The Tsunade I knew would never try to kill an innocent girl just because she wants to be like her." Squeezing the fist, Sakura managed to crush her hand, snapping the bones inside. Sakura pulled her bleeding hand back and stumbled. Sakura rose up. "If you want to fight, then you've got one." Sakura stepped forward. Tsunade healed her fist. With a smile, she stepped into range. They both began to fight. Sakura waited until Tsunade punched before dodging it. Sliding under her mentor's arm, she raised her right arm up and pinned Tsunade's hand close to her shoulder before taking her fist and smashing it into Tsunade's elbow, dislocating it. Tsunade cried out before spinning into a kick. Sakura took the shot in the side. She felt her floating ribs snap along with a few of the lower ones. Sakura growled as she coughed up blood, but all the same, she held that leg. Bending Tsunade's knee, she used it to push Tsunade off balance and put her on her back. As soon as she did, she twisted the knee and smashed it as well, knocking it out of joint. As Sakura got down on Tsunade, straddling her, she raised her fist to finish the job, only stopping when she saw Tsunade smiling. Sakura's expression softened into confusion. Tsunade spoke. "Good girl. There's no doubt that you really were my student in some world." Sakura was confused. "Wait, you believe me now?" Tsunade popped her arm and knee back into joint. She pushed Sakura off her with relative ease and sat up. "I had suspected for a while that this was true. I didn't think Orochimaru could copy my technique so easily. If he could, he'd be unstoppable. I doubted that he had it at all, let alone could teach it to you. The only person you logically could have learned it from was from me, but I was still doubtful." Tsunade stood up, wiped the blood from her lip, and her body continued to heal. She got out a bottle of sake and 2 glasses. Not to mention that it would take longer than you would have even been a shinobi to even come close to utilizing these techniques, let alone master them like you have. I needed to be sure that you really were telling the truth. The only way I could do that was to see if you had remembered anything else only I would know, and so I decided to test it. Your fighting style is beautiful, Sakura. It's exactly like the one I used in my younger years. All of that combined, there's no doubt your story's true. I don't know how you time traveled here, but I do believe it's true. She poured both glasses. She offered one up to Sakura. Sakura looked at herself. Don't you think I'm a little bit too young to drink? Tsunade helped her up. No, I don't think so. If you know Creation Rebirth, there's no doubt that you're well past the legal age for drinking. Besides, it's been a while since anyone's put me on my ass. That requires celebration. She raised her glass in a silent toast. She then downed the whole glass as if it were nothing. Sakura shot back hers as well. So tell me, Sakura, what can I do for you? Tsunade asked. Sakura smiles a little. Well, I was wanting to know if you could train me. But don't you already know everything I can teach you? Sakura nodded. I do, but you're my hero. You're like a second mother to me. I want to hang around you. I once had a very close relationship with you. I want to have that again. Tsunade sat there for a moment before busting out into laughter. Sakura's smile began to disappear. What's so funny? Tsunade laughed a little longer before wiping her eyes. You're just a very funny girl, Sakura Haruno, but sure. Yes, you're the first girl who's been able to stand up against me. You're strong. I like that. I'll gladly be your friend. As the years passed, Sasuke continued to work with Orochimaru. Orochimaru continued to try to help Sasuke grow, and Sasuke felt that he was actually starting to make more progress. It seemed he had not plateaued yet. Either that or whatever juices Orochimaru was pumping him full of were working. As he proceeded to train, he'd be sent to deliver things to one particular lab. This had been the goal he was waiting for. Getting there, just like before, he set plans in motion to have Suigetsu. When Karin feared for her safety after this mistake, Sasuke offered to help recapture the fugitive, which he did. Helping put Suigetsu back into his prison, he looked to him and spoke. I won't let you rot in here forever. You're strong, Suigetsu, and you have a heart filled with determination. I won't let you suffer long. Karin was confused. He looked to her. I know you owe Orochimaru your life, but what kind of life do you call it when you hide in fear from him? I'm letting you know now. I'm going to kill Orochimaru as soon as I have the chance. And when I do, I plan to free you and Suigetsu from this place. We'll get Jugo as well. Karin questioned how Sasuke knew about Jugo. I work for Orochimaru the same as you, but trust me, the world is better off without him. When I've finished my business with Orochimaru, I'll come for you. Do you understand? Both of them nodded, and Sasuke returned to Orochimaru's hideout. It was a bit early, and Orochimaru wasn't even being rejected by his host yet, but Sasuke felt he accomplished everything that would affect the future in any way, so he basically soloed Orochimaru. What else did the old snake think was going to happen? While Sasuke had been downplaying his power in front of Orochimaru, it was clear that Sasuke had more potential currently than Itachi, and even though Orochimaru had not yet decided to take Sasuke's body, it was obvious that he soon would, and if Sasuke wasn't careful, he would lose himself to Orochimaru. While Sasuke hadn't originally planned to kill Orochimaru, he decided that it would be best to do so and then revive him later. Having killed Orochimaru, Sasuke let Kabuto live, knowing that he would need him to. After this, he'd begin writing to Sakura again, telling her that he killed Orochimaru and was now free, that he was going to get his friends and return to Konoha, which she expressed her joy in. Retrieving Suigetsu, Karin, and Jugo, Sasuke led them back to Konoha. They were apprehensive about joining this village, as they had each had bad experiences with their own, but Sasuke promised them that this village, while having its faults, was not going to be like the ones they knew. Trusting him, they followed him there. Sasuke eventually met up with Sakura and gave her a hug and a kiss, but as he reunited with Sakura and Kakashi, Kakashi began to tell Sasuke about how they had the chance now to take the fight to the Akatsuki and save the lives of the various Jinchuriki. Sasuke refused, however. No, we can't do that. Why not? Sakura asked. You know where I stand. We can make a few changes and maximize the lives saved, but we have to ensure that the war still occurs. The war was what brought the nations together. Without it, tensions would remain high until the next great war. More people would die. I know you guys are searching for that perfect utopia, but we already had it. If we change too much, we'll lose what we had. Kakashi and Sakura looked at each other and then back to Sasuke. They gave a bit of a nod. Sasuke spoke. Don't tell Naruto. He's not good with timelines. He'll want to save the Jinchuriki and will fight tooth and nail to do so. If we don't tell him, he likely won't even remember. I don't know. I feel wrong about this. Doesn't it feel like we're condemning people to death? We're not God. How can we do that? Sasuke shook his head. We're not condemning anyone. They were originally planned to die. If anything, our actions are trying to get in the way of God's plan. That's what I feel bad about. But we did get this chance to change things. That could be God's way of saying we're supposed to change them, Kakashi said. Sasuke nodded. That's true, but don't forget, we shouldn't save lives at the expense of others. These Jinchuriki died, yes, but their lives were not spent in vain. The word Jinchuriki itself literally references human sacrifice. Their lives were forfeit the moment they became Jinchuriki. We save what we can, but we can't alter big things. It's important that the Akatsuki awaken the Ten Tails. Anything less than that and we'll end up destroying the peace between nations we had before. Sakura seemed caught in the middle. What do you think, Kakashi-sensei? She asked. Kakashi looked over at her as he stroked his chin. He let out a sigh. To be honest, I'm sorta with Sasuke on this one. I had assumed we'd run into a dilemma like this eventually. All we can really do is just let fate take its course. It'll hurt, won't feel good at all. We'll feel like murderers. But that's the life of a shinobi, and as a Hokage, I can say that sometimes letting things you don't like happen is better for everyone. It's the hard decisions. We should try our best to maintain course for now. Does that mean that Sasuke has to leave again? Kakashi thought about it. No, I don't think so. He wasn't all that instrumental in the Akatsuki at all. He did help capture a tailed beast. Kinda. Sorta. But really, the Akatsuki will just send someone else to do it instead. No use sending Sasuke. Sakura nodded. Then I guess we let certain courses of action take place without interference. I'm proud of you, Sakura, Sasuke said. And so they did nothing until Naruto got home. When he did, they would venture to the Land of Wind to rescue Gaara, where Naruto and Sasuke managed to kill Sasori and Deidara. With Chiyo's help, they revived Gaara. After this, Naruto and Sasuke would convince Tsunade to let them join Asuma's group in hunting down the Akatsuki members, Hidan and Kakazu, who they would both make short work of. After this, when they got home, Sasuke and Naruto both knew that they would each have to do something important. Another mission of their hearts. Naruto was to go with Jiraiya to Amegakure, while Sasuke went to go find Itachi. You know I can handle a little spy mission on my own, Naruto, Jiraiya said. Naruto looked down and away for a moment. Jiraiya let off a chuckle. Let me guess, I can't handle a little spy mission on my own, can I? Well, frick me. Guess we're gonna go do this together then. Getting to Amegakure, Naruto began spilling the beans on the situation. The leader of the Akatsuki is Nagato, your former student. Jiraiya was shocked. What? Why? Why would Nagato do this? Naruto began to explain everything that happened. Jiraiya thought about it. Do you think there's any chance he can be turned back to the path of righteousness? Naruto thought about it. He can be, yes. As they continued forward, they would eventually come across these 6 paths of pain. Naruto then spoke. Pervy Sage, I can handle the 6 paths. Go find Pain. He should be in the big tower. I'll handle these guys. Are you sure you can do this alone, Naruto? Naruto looked back with a smile. Returning his gaze back to the 6 paths of pain, Naruto would assume his 6 paths sage mode. I'll probably only need about 5 minutes, max. I'll catch up. Jiraiya rushed off. Naruto then popped his fingers. Who's first? Sasuke would have found Itachi by now. Itachi went to speak only for Sasuke to cut him off. Save it, Itachi. I know what the village did, what they made you do. If you think I hate you and came here to kill you, you're wrong. Itachi was startled by this declaration out of the blue. What do you mean? Sasuke continued. I know how Danzo coerced you into doing it by threatening my life. I disagree with what you did, but I've long since gotten over it. Itachi let out a sigh. You really should just kill me. If you did, you'd be recognized as a hero. You would restore the name of our clan. Sasuke shook his head. The name of our clan isn't in question. Even if most of Konoha looks down on us, we're still the Uchiha clan, and what matters is that we keep our own dignity. Itachi sat forward. Sasuke, I'm sick. Dying. I'm going to pass away anyway, so why don't you just finish me off now? I'll give you the leave to. If you don't, I will. Sasuke sighed. He walked over to Itachi and knelt down in front of him. He put his hand on Itachi's chest. Suddenly, Itachi felt formless before reassuming his form. What did you just do to me? Sasuke opened his eye. His Mangekyo Sharingan went gray, having lost its light. Sasuke, what did you do? Sasuke smiled. This is something I've been contemplating for a long time. I knew you would be in need, and I assumed that maybe the Izanagi might be able to help you. One eye for a life is easy. I don't lose much anyway. Itachi was speechless. Sasuke continued. There, now you can't kill yourself, because if you did, then I would have lost my eye for nothing. Do you really want that, Itachi? Itachi shook his head. Come with me back to Konoha. We can get you pardoned. Tsunade's on my side. She knows the truth. What is the truth? Itachi asked. Sasuke then began to explain about where he and Team 7 came from. Naruto would have eventually joined Jiraiya in the tower. Making his way to the top, he would see Jiraiya cradling a crying Nagato and Konan in his arms. He himself seemed to be crying. Naruto decided to stay outside for a time and give them space. After they calmed down, Naruto would join them. "Is it time to go?" Naruto asked. Jiraiya nodded. "I think I can convince Tsunade to be lenient with him. That being said, they will have rather large numbers in the bingo book. Nagato, as leader of the Akatsuki, was responsible for what happened to the other villages, but that's the best we can do." Naruto and Jiraiya would lead them back to the village where they'd find Sasuke and Itachi. Sasuke was surprised. "I expected you to come back with Jiraiya, but not with Pain." Naruto smiled. "I know, it's a surprise, but Pain was always redeemable. He just needed to be shown what he had done wrong." Naruto would escort him to prison where he would be held. Jiraiya would manage to get Pain some leniency. That being said, while Pain was forced to remain in prison, Tsunade would let his 6 paths roam free in the village. That being said, Sasuke was not pleased with this outcome. "What's wrong, Sasuke?" Sakura said. "I can't believe they brought Pain back with them, of all the damn fool things to do." "You can't be mad at them. Pain was redeemable, so what were they supposed to do?" "They were supposed to kill him." Sakura let out a sigh. "But my love, you can't expect them to make that decision." Sasuke looked back. "Listen, Sakura, Pain holds the Rinnegan. The Akatsuki need that to launch the war." He looked forward. "I'm done with this. I'm killing Pain." "Sasuke, you... Hey, wait!" Sasuke leapt off toward the prison. As he arrived at the prison cell, he saw Pain. Nagato looked up at him. "Another Rinnegan user." Sasuke doesn't say a word. He opens the door. Pain watches him walk in. Sasuke walks up to him and stops. Pain doesn't speak. He climbs up on the machine with Pain. Pain looks into Sasuke's eyes. "You plan to kill me, don't you?" Nagato asked in a voice that showed little surprise. Sasuke nodded. "I'm sorry, but there are things far bigger than you and I at stake here." Pain nodded. "One can only run from justice for so long." Sasuke pulled out his blade. Naruto rushed in. "Sasuke, stop!" Sasuke looked over and saw Sakura standing there. He knew she must have told Naruto. "I have to do this, Naruto." "Why?" Naruto asked. Sasuke looked down at Pain. "Those Rinnegan. The Akatsuki need them. There will be no war, no infinite Tsukiyomi without them." "And is that such a bad thing?" Naruto demanded. Sasuke looked down questioningly. "What do you mean?" Naruto then spoke. "It wasn't the war that brought those people together. It was the bonds, the kindness shared between them. So what if we defeat the Akatsuki early? That doesn't matter, Sasuke. It's about far more than just the circumstances. It's about the kindness. Love is what brought the peace and what maintained it. Don't forget that there have already been 3 Shinobi World Wars, and none of them fostered peace. Alliances were built, and they fell. It never had anything to do with the 4th Shinobi World War." Sasuke looked at Nagato. Naruto, the others will never cooperate without a bigger enemy." Naruto shook his head. "No, they'll never cooperate unless they're inspired to, and war is not the only way to inspire people. We were given this chance for a reason, to save as many lives as possible, and that includes the thousands upon thousands who die in the war. We can stop the war now. Don't plan for a war that we don't even know will come, and don't even know if we can stop when it gets here. All we know is what we know now, and our vision doesn't go that far into the future. I say we destroy the Akatsuki, Kakashi becomes the 6th Hokage, and we begin spreading love across each village, inspiring them to be like us. That will stop wars from happening." "How do you know that, Naruto?" Sasuke shouted. Naruto smiled. "I just have faith. We have to have faith, Sasuke." Sasuke looked down at Nagato. "And what if a war does start? What if a war kills our children?" Naruto walked up to Sasuke. "A war won't. We won't allow it. And if a war starts, no doubt we'll be the ones to fight it before our children. Don't let the what-if scenarios scare you, Sasuke. Ground yourself. Have faith that it'll all be okay. Have I been wrong before?" Sasuke looked over. He then looked back at Pain, ready to kill him, but he froze. Dropping his sword, he climbed down. "Fine, we'll do it your way, but you better be right." Naruto was right. They kept watch for when Obito and Zetsu would come to assassinate Nagato. They tried desperately to save Obito, but he refused to bring back that part of himself that allowed him to feel remorse. He had no need to hold on to the things he cherished, and because of that, they couldn't save him. They killed him and Zetsu both, ending the true threat of the Akatsuki. Peace ensued. Eventually, Tsunade would pass the title of Hokage down to Kakashi, who would be named the 6th. Naming Naruto as the head of a specific Peace Corps, they would begin sending shinobi out on humanitarian missions, just as Nagato once hoped to. As they did so, the general love Konoha was spreading, and Kakashi's new goodwill policies began to defrost the cold hearts that were turned against Konoha. While Konoha still maintained its strength, its caring nature extended out across borders and connected the world, bringing about an era of peace. When Toneri decided to destroy the world with the moon, the 5 great villages worked together to stop it. Naruto would eventually return to his love with Hinata, marrying and even bearing 2 children. Naruto's heart was filled with joy. Perhaps it was a gift to him from God, but when they gave birth, the 2 children they had were Boruto and Himawari, without question. The same was true of Sasuke and Sakura, who gave birth to Sarada. Sasuke had finally let go of his fears. The world was becoming as great as it had been before, but this time Itachi would be there to see it, as would Jiraiya. As a show of peace, after Naruto became the 7th Hokage, they held a joint Chunin exams between all 5 hidden villages. And though the Otsutsuki attacked and Naruto was once more captured just as he had been before, the other Kage rose to the occasion to rescue Naruto, which further cemented the peace they held together. Finally, the time came where Naruto would get to celebrate his son's birthday. It was 20 years in the making, but he finally got to do it. He finally got to take that staycation he'd hoped to take all those years ago, and it couldn't have been sweeter. And I think that's the end of the story. What do you think about it? Did you enjoy it? Personally, I was considering going further and having Sasuke kill Nagato for the 4th Shinobi World War, but then I had the Naruto epiphany. There's nothing saying that the 4th Shinobi World War would be the only way to make sure that brotherhood was spread among each nation. Remember that Naruto had planned to bring peace well before the 4th Shinobi World War happened. It would be such a Naruto thing to do, to keep the war from happening and to bring world peace. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified more videos like this drop. And if you can't wait for that, then try these videos on for size. I bet you'll like them. Anyway, until next time, peace out.